You're listening to hashtag No Filter with Zack Peter. That's me, your naturally platinum blonde pop culture connoisseur. I'm the reality TV junkie, self-improvement addict, and host with only the hottest tea spilled fresh all week long. Those balls have gotten you in trouble, though.
Yeah. They picked us because we're horny.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's your chronic state.
24/7.
My life has changed so much that it's almost like a completely different life.
From the latest news on the Real Housewives,
I'm so happy to be here and engage with you.
deep dives into celebrity legal scandals, and unfiltered convos with your favorite stars, I've got you covered. And yes, I always keep receipts. Welcome on in, guys. I am very excited because I have a very special interview we've all been loving Family Karma lately. It's into its third season now, and I know everybody in the Facebook group and even on Instagram has been chatting about the new season of Family Karma. There's a big wedding that we are finally approaching as the season 3 comes to an end, and I have one of your favorites on the show today. Please welcome the breakout star. That's what I'm going to call him. The breakout star of Family Karma, Mr. Amrit Kapai.
Oh, hi, Zach. You're too kind. So excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to have you. When I had told people you were coming on the show, they were so excited, and I got flooded with so many questions that we'll dive into today. But first off, how are you doing? How is married life, the newlywed life?
It's good. It's all good, Zach. That's the first question people ask you is like, so what's changed? And, at the beginning, I had a really boring answer. It was a very vanilla answer. It was like the typical answer you hear. Oh, it's the same. We've been together for so long. It's the same. But that's not as interesting of an answer. And that's not completely honest. The answer I've sort of thought about over the last few months is here's the difference between being married and not being married. Before you're married to your person, you're committed, obviously. But that commitment, it doesn't feel official. It doesn't feel, like it's recognized by the world. And internally, even though you might be dating someone or you're engaged or you're exclusive, you might look at a person in the outside world in a different light sometimes, right? Maybe like, oh, but what else, maybe that person I was connecting with at the bar or that coworker I kind of had a little, spark with. But once you're married, all of that goes away because there is no like keeping one eye open and be like, but what else? Like there's nothing else. This is my person and this is my person forever. So that is my new answer. That's the difference between being married and not being married, for me at least.
So it's the ball and chain.
Totally, exactly.
Do you feel like your dynamic, like with each other, has changed a little bit? Like, because now you can really be comfortable. Now you can let the guard like fully down and be like, listen, I can be a monster now because he's stuck with me.
The dynamic has certainly changed. Neither of us are going anywhere. The dynamic with our families has changed, actually, probably more than the dynamic with each other. And more than anything, I think, Zach, when we were wedding planning and we were filming, it was a lot. There was a lot going on. There are a lot of very high stress moments, there are a lot of very emotionally charged moments. So I think coming out of that simultaneously with going into like wedded bliss, I don't know what it's been, but everything has been a lot more relaxed. Everything has been a lot more easy-going between the two of us. So that's good.
You guys were together for 10 years, right?
We were together for 10 years. And as you know, gay relationships go all over the spectrum. Friends, not friends, friends with benefits, broken up, friends again, dating.
So then I feel like you would know each other pretty well after 10 years. How do you feel like the marriage process? Because we're watching that play out on the show right now. And obviously we're seeing some differences. Your family's getting very involved. We have some interesting issues going on with his family and his religious upbringing. So how do you feel like you learned more about each other through the process of getting married in comparison to being in each other's lives for the past 10 years?
That's a great question. And before we started this wedding process, I felt like Nicholas and I lived in our own little bubble, our own little safe bubble where we lived, before we had relocated to Miami, we were in Chicago. When we were in Chicago, we lived in like the gay neighborhood. All our friends were gay. We had our gay community. And sure, my parents were involved in my life. But we very much lived in our own little bubble. And I think once we started wedding planning, My parents were more in the picture, obviously, they're more involved, and more than just them, my sense of tradition, like this little Indian boy came out of me. He surfaced, and that's because, you know, planning a traditional Indian wedding, there are so many roles that are very specific to genders. So I think once we started planning this wedding, more of the cultural class had surfaced. Whereas before, you know, we were just kind of doing our thing, living our, you know, happy gay lives. And we still are. But I think, you know, once we started this wedding planning thing, we started realizing, you know, how different all cultures are, and how, you know, complicated it might be to navigate the gender roles that are typically found in Indian weddings.
And how have your relationships with your families changed now that, you know, you had to go through the wedding process? Obviously, we're watching some of the challenges, you know, between Nicholas with your family and Nicholas with his own family. You know, have those relationships changed at all?
Yeah, they have. They have, you know, and Zach, we had to be very delicate about this
Yeah.
because, you know, our parents' generation, they're not as used to the whole gay thing. It wasn't as out there and accepted, and not, now it's not just accepted, it's celebrated.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to get to. We don't want acceptance anymore. I don't want you to accept me. I want you to celebrate me.
Yeah.
So if you're just going to simply accept me, just don't be in my life at all, you know? And I think that's our mindset as, you know, this generation, but it might not necessarily be like that, you know, for our parents' generation. But I can tell you, everyone's in a really good place. You know, him with my parents, and me with his parents too, actually. They're such kind people. They love me like their own. And yeah, it's taken us a while to get to that point. It certainly has. It hasn't been overnight, but we are there. But viewers will see in the last few episodes of the season that there was a lot of conflict that surfaced. And, you know, Nicholas and my way of dealing with conflict is very different. And I think that has to do with me being Indian. We don't like conflict. That's why when you watch Family Karma, you're not seeing us like flip over tables and like throw drinks in people's faces, because that's just not who we are.
Yeah.
But he deals with confrontation by talking it through right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Having a face-to-face conversation, and let's air out what we feel. Whereas Indians are kind of like, no, I'm good. Let's just smile, hug, and then, you know, walk away.
Sweep it under the rug.
Sweep it under the rug. Damn, that rug must be so big for us. So I think viewers are going to see that, you know, in the last few episodes of the season.
Was it challenging now that it's airing and we're, you know, obviously his family, I'm assuming if they're not watching the show, they're hearing about this being discussed on the show. Has that been challenging at all?
It has. And I think it's going to be even more challenging over the next few weeks. But, you know, Nicholas and I have talked to each other. We've spoken to each other, like our respective parents together, that, you know, this will stir up some emotions. Obviously, rewatching it again will kind of trigger some certain feelings. But let's remember that, you know, we're at a good place. You know, we've moved on, and we want to build. We want to build more on this connection, because listen, we're married now. You know, his parents are my parents, and my parents are his parents. You know, that's how we want it to be. So it's a work in progress. And I think it's always going to be a work in progress, gay or straight, when it comes to marriage and in-laws. And I'm sure viewers have seen my other castmate / best friend's relationship with his mother-in-law, and it's certainly a work in progress. So
did you learn much, since obviously we were about to approach your wedding, but we just finished seeing Vishal's wedding? Did you learn a lot from their process and, you know, everything that they went through planning a wedding?
Oh, sweetheart, I had my yellow legal pad out and I had my pen, and I was writing all of my do's and don'ts. I'm so happy he went first, because one, you know, I'm just so happy to see them finally married, you know, Vishal and Richa. It's been a long time coming. But more so than that, it was like a good practice round for me of what what we wanted and what we didn't want in our wedding. Vishal and I are very different people. We have very different personalities. And I think people will see that our weddings were very different as well. Both beautiful and unique in their own way, but different.
Did yours have a lot of rainbows?
No, I mean my mom was decked out in rainbows. She carries this rainbow purse. Actually, she wore it to the HRC dinner last Saturday. It's so endearing, Zach. I can't even tell you. It's
Oh,
this glitter rainbow purse. But no, we kept it a little more on the subtle colors than the full on
yes.
rainbow.
Yeah. I can do without the rainbow sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, okay, mom, like this is a little tacky now. Like we can move on from all this.
Yeah.
I
Pride
appreciate the love.
Parade.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pride Parade absolutely looks like a rainbow threw up on me. And I love it.
Yeah.
But at our wedding, we wanted something a little more subtle.
Yeah. All right, guys, I want to take a quick break to show some love to my pals at Chomps. The start of a new year always comes with new goals, right? Well, one of the habits that I love to work in daily is eating more healthy protein. It keeps me satiated, it keeps me satisfied, and it keeps me sane. That's why I love some Chomps protein sticks. They come packed with mouth-watering flavor and real nutrition in a size for everyone. They're gluten-free, certified paleo, and keto with zero sugar. Plus, they pack 9 to 10 grams of protein and only 90 calories. Like, you can't beat it, okay? Their original and sea salt beef are delicious, but I have to say, their jalapeno beef is my absolute favorite. I like a little kick. I like a little zing in my protein. I like to pack them as a snack during those long work days, as a nice little post-workout treat, or to help cut those late-night cravings. They're great for taking with you on the go, so I suggest you go and get some right now. If you want, give them a try at chomps.com. Use code ZACK20 for 20% off your order at chomps.com. That's code ZACK, Z-A-C-K, 20 for 20% off. Head over to chomps.com, CHOMPS.com right now. Nana Bananas on Instagram wants to know if you've decided on last names yet. Are you keeping your own? Are you hyphenating? What are you doing?
So, and this is the honest answer, Zach. We still haven't figured it out. It's been that same sort of dealing with conflict. I've kind of pushed it off, and he's kind of like every now and then I'll be like, "Hey, sweetheart, by the way, we haven't figured this out." And I'm like, "Okay, go, give me a second, give me a second, give me a second." A lot of people on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, they're like, "Well, just hyphenate it." And obviously, we've talked about that. The issue is, my last name is Kapai, so 5 letters, and his is Kachukis, which is 15 letters.
Very
So
long name.
we just, how it was when you're taking the SAT, Zach, and I don't know, at least when I was taking it, you have to fill out the Scantron, and
Yeah.
oh my gosh, our kid is going to be taking the first 30 minutes to fill out his name before the
Yeah.
test even begins. So it just makes for a really long last name, but we haven't made a decision yet. We've talked about potential options, maybe creating a last name.
Okay.
We can create our own identity because we're trying to create our own family unit. So that sounds kind of appropriate, doesn't it?
What's the hesitation other than the Scantron? What is your hesitation?
Um,
Do you just not want to give up your last name? Is
I
his
know
name really
this.
just too long and you don't want to embrace his last name? Is it kind of like the cultural thing of like, I don't want to take my partner's last name because of the gender role, the traditional gender roles?
I think it's a lot of things, Zach. And honestly, I think it's an issue that even our heterosexual counterparts are dealing with.
Yeah.
Like it is our identity, especially now when both people in the marriage are working in professional roles. A lot of people, so people know you as your original last name. For instance, one of my best friends just got married, and she's having the same issue. She's like, but I don't, and she's Indian, marrying Indian. But she said, I don't want to give up my last name. I'm an attorney. Everyone in my office knows me as this surname. Can you imagine now, like your whole extended network needs to learn a new name. So I think it's a variety of reasons. For me, I don't think that either one of us should give up our last names. But I also, once kids come in the picture, it makes it a little more difficult, right? So I don't know.
Well, Risha didn't take Vishal's last name, right? Or did
She
she?
says that she's not going to, and I don't believe that she has. So I think this is an issue, a universal issue that couples are dealing with now more than ever, right?
Yeah.
It was just easier before with my mom. In fact, Zach, fun fact, my mom not only had to take my dad's last name, but the type of Indian that we are, Cindy, the husband gets to change the wife's first name as well.
Oh,
So
wow.
she had to change her first name and her last name. It was a completely new identity. But
Wow.
this was in, 1970 something India, and life was just different back then. It's just not the same way now.
Yeah.
So crazy, right?
Yeah, I had no clue that that was even a thing.
Yeah, it's wild.
How are things coming along with the kids? I know, having kids was something that was really important to you guys. What are the options that you're currently, how's your sperm doing? I guess is the real question.
I give them a pep talk every morning. I wake up and I say, guys, I need you to do your best, okay? They're a little scared.
Mm,
No, I know. We're working on it. We've started the process. We're still very much in the initial stages of the process. Viewers have gotten a little glance into our process. We haven't ruled out adoption. We haven't ruled out surrogacy, so
yeah.
that's good.
Do you have a
Um,
preference?
sorry?
Do you have a preference?
I go back and forth. I couldn't tell you. I go back and forth. Oh man, adoption is such a beautiful thing. It
Yeah.
really is. And I don't want to let go of that idea.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's really, really, really tough. At the moment, and listen, we're not going to get disheartened, with what happened with our first analysis. We've had follow-up appointments with our doctor. There are things that we can be taking to help it, and we are. So we're not going to rule out either routes. But if we've decided between adoption and surrogacy, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
what would you do if you
I
wanted
mean,
kids?
I would have kids on my own, and I'm already starting to explore some of the early
Yeah.
options for myself.
Okay. Okay.
Listen, there's no prospects in the near future. There are no prospects, and it's a long process. And so I'm like, I'm gonna freeze my eggs now and start to put things on ice and see where it goes. I mean, I would love to have a child of my own. Adoption is always on the table. I think I'll probably have more than one child, but I at least
Yeah.
want one child that I know is my own flesh and blood. Not that there's anything wrong with adoption. I think adoption is a beautiful process, and there are lots of children that need homes, but I would also
Yeah.
just want to leave a little piece of me
Yeah,
when I leave.
absolutely. And I think that's okay.
I want a naturally platinum blonde little baby bopping around if I ever disappear one day.
There we go. Yeah, it's tough, but we're still having the difficult conversations, and we're going to continue having the conversations.
How many kids do you want?
Well, let's see how much money I would make.
Yeah, it's not as easy as just, a pump and done.
Exactly.
Like,
Let's drink cheap vodka on a Friday night and then
yeah. I mean, actually, it
Um,
is that easy. You just have to get your permission.
I would love two at least,
Yeah.
maybe three if we can make it happen. I like big families.
Yeah. Do you think culturally you're going to instill some of the traditional values that you were raised with and Nicholas was raised with, and how are you going to kind of merge that into, this modern family that you're creating?
Yeah. You know, one of the beautiful things about being in a gay interracial relationship is that we get to do everything on our terms.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how we did the wedding. And that's what viewers are going to see when they see the wedding. We got to pick and choose what we like. So there are many positive things about his culture and his religion that I truly respect and I appreciate, and vice versa. There are many things about our culture, like the Hindu culture and religion, that he respects. So I think we get to cherry pick. We get to pick what makes the most sense to us. And why be exclusive to one route? For instance,
Yeah.
we can go to church one weekend with our kids, and we could go to the temple on another weekend. It doesn't matter where you're going to worship. It doesn't matter where you're going to pray, as long as you're doing it peacefully and you're doing it for the right reasons and you're kind. I don't care where that is. It could be in our house, where we pray, and it could be to whichever God. But as long as it's for a good purpose, that's all that matters to me. So, once the kids are in the picture, we'll see. I would love for both of our parents to be involved.
Yeah.
But only time will tell.
Now, you're on Family Karma, and you've brought to light a lot of the Indian traditions, and you've put your culture on display for the world to kind of get a peek into not just the Indian culture, but your specific families. And obviously, two gay men going through a wedding. You're challenging a lot of traditional norms. And that's obviously, it's good for, for progression, but it's also going to come with a lot of feedback from people, right? Some people are going to think you're doing too much, or you're not doing enough, or what has that feedback kind of been like for you guys now that you're in your third season and it seems like Family Karma is continuing to pick up steam? What has that kind of been like internally, taking some of that feedback in?
Well, honestly, that you think about it, we live our lives with everyone telling us how to live it.
Yeah.
Whether it's our
Yeah,
parents or
that's
our
true.
community or our friends or our classmates, everyone is trying to tell us how to live it. So this is just another bucket of people telling me, Amrit, you need to do it this way. Amrit, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm used to it. I read it. I read everything with a grain of salt. It's so important to think independently. So I will read it. And if I believe in it, I'll listen to it. If I don't, I just kind of disregard it. You're never going to do it the right way.
Yeah.
You're going to make mistakes, especially when, for us, there's not much to look back on and be like, oh, but my brother's wedding did it this way, or my cousin's wedding, or my friend's wedding. Zach, before mine, I had been to one gay wedding, and I've been out for over 10 years, and I've had so many. I still have a huge circle of gay friends, but you didn't see them as much, right? So
Yeah.
we didn't have this like, oh, we got to do it this way because we've seen it done this way before. So we're gonna, we made mistakes, as people will see, and we had really challenging conversations, but it was so important to us to show our wedding on Bravo, because I want all of my LGBT brothers and sisters to watch the episodes and think to themselves, wow, this can be me. My wedding can look like this. It can be to a man. It can be to a woman. Whoever it is to, it can happen. And I think that's the most important message, not how you're doing it, but that it's done.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people forget too. A lot of people on Twitter, they have big mouths, right? They have fast fingers and big mouths. And I'm just like, shut the fuck up. But I think people forget that, like, when you're human and you're just living out your life, you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to make big mistakes, and you're going to say stupid shit, and you're going to do stupid shit. And then, but you learn and grow through that. And I think the more influential people are the ones that are willing to just live their lives authentically and not perfectly, or not try to, mask themselves in a way that projects this image of perfection. And I think, people just need to give a little grace that, like, times are changing, cultures are changing, things are evolving. And, I think a show like Family Karma that also kind of just opens up people's eyes and exposes us to different cultures and different backgrounds, I think that that's a great thing. And we're all learning and growing through this.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember a conversation I had with my mom when Family Karma was becoming a thing. Our parents, coming from India, they're not born in this country.
Yeah.
They didn't quite understand reality TV. They didn't watch much Bravo. At least my parents didn't. And I remember this was when we were still working on, Family Karma becoming an idea. She was like, "Oh, so this will be like Full House?" And I was like, "No, I don't think it works like that, Ma. There's no script. It's just you. That is your role." And I told her, and I said, I want you to be honest with how you're feeling, and I want you to be honest in your conversations, because don't pretend. It has been a struggle for her to accept that her son is gay. It has. And if you pretend it's not,
and that's okay, because that's such a real story. It's not okay in the sense that, but it's reality, and this is what so many families are facing,
Exactly. And I told her, I said, you'll help more people if you're honest. If you're not honest, and you're just like, oh, I'm president of PFLAG, I'm at every pride parade, I'm a gay mom or a mother of a gay son, less people are going to be able to resonate with that, because there are still parents that are struggling. There are still kids that are struggling with how their parents would react if they came out. So I told her, I said, don't worry about me.
Yeah.
I've got very thick skin. I need you to be honest about how you're feeling. And if it's not something I want to hear, still say it.
Yeah. Because it's important to have those conversations and to put that out. Because when people make mistakes, especially on a platform like reality television, other people are going to resonate with that. And then if you watch that person grow through that mistake, then those people that resonated with you will grow with you through that same mistake. And then you're also helping them expand their minds as well.
Exactly. That's exactly right, Zach.
So lots of people were asking, they want to know what your thoughts are about what Anisha said on Watch What Happens Live about your marriage not lasting. She seemed to come pretty hard for your relationship and Vishal's.
It's quite comical, Zach, that my friend Anisha apparently is the guru of marriage. Even though I have yet to meet her mystery man. You know, I'm
Still.
starting to think that her mystery man wears Harry Potter's invisibility cloak all the time because I've never seen him. Listen, Anisha and I have had our issues, and I've certainly expressed my opinions about her in earlier seasons, and I'm definitely the type who can take it if he dishes it. Because if you can't take it, don't dish it, and
Yeah.
that's not me.
Yeah.
So you know what? If that's her opinion, I don't agree with it, obviously. But if that's her opinion, she's entitled to her opinion, and I have my own opinions about her and her relationship, and I kind of expressed them in last night's episode. And I think it's important. Listen, it's important for all of us to have opinions. I'd rather her be real and honest with me than to just lie. I hate when people say what they think the other person wants to hear. And you can very quickly pick up on when someone's just telling you what you want to hear and when someone's telling you what they actually feel. And if that's how she feels, all right. I mean, I don't love hearing it, but that's her opinion.
Do you feel like she's being real and honest with you, though? Like, has she come to you and said, hey, I don't think your marriage is going to last?
No, we really haven't had that conversation. This was the first time I was hearing it on Watch What Happens Live. So I was just as shocked as the rest of America because I was like, but we've never really, we've never talked about this or we've never expressed doubt about this marriage. In fact, we've only been married not even a year. So I don't know.
I just find it interesting that she won't go public with her relationship and she won't even bring her boyfriend around some of the closest people in her life, and she expects that relationship to go the distance and to last, when I think you, somebody that's been in a 10-year relationship now, knows that it's when you bring this person around your family, it's when you bring this person around your friends, it's when they have interactions with the closest people in your lives that really put the relationship to the test a bit more, because you have to see how somebody's going to react around the people that are closest to you in order to really see, is this somebody that I can keep in my life? Is this person's values something that reflect the values that I have and the values that I want to choose moving forward when I build a life and a family for myself?
Yeah, no, you pretty much hit the nail on the head, Zach, because we've put ourselves out there. You know, I don't know if that she wants to make it seem like her relationship's perfect and ours is imperfect, or even Vishal and Richa's is imperfect. But listen, we've put ourselves out there. Vishal and Richa, they've gone through a lot. They've gone through the ringer, but they've clearly lasted 10 years. So you're gonna poo-poo on their marriage, even though we've seen all of the ups and downs that they've gone through, yet we've seen none of yours.
Yeah.
Yours is gonna last forever. When something seems perfect, Zach, it's probably not very perfect.
Well, I think the other thing is when you're trying to sell something as perfect, that's when it really, that's when there are probably some cracks in the foundation. Because if you have to keep telling everybody how great and how perfect it is without showing us how great and how perfect it is, it makes you question some things.
Absolutely.
So I take it you guys aren't close anymore.
No, we're still, listen, Anisha and I are in a good place. We are.
Okay.
We are in a good place. And
I feel like you need to call her and be like, girl, what's going on? Why don't you think my marriage is going to last?
Should I call her right now?
I mean,
I will say one thing. I am very happy for her. I know that she came out of a long-term relationship that didn't go as she wanted it to go. And that sucks. Anyone who's been in a long-term serious relationship that didn't get, the ring that they wanted or the happy ending that they wanted, it's tough. It's not easy. And you're guarded after that. And some people are guarded for the rest of their lives. And some people are guarded only for, a few years until they're able to move on.
Yeah.
So I know that she's had a tough time, but I am happy for her. I am happy that she's met a person that she, can see her whole life with.
Yeah.
And I hope it works out for them.
Earrings 10 wants to know, do you think Brian is two-faced?
Brian and I have had a season. He, lied to me multiple times about something. Last night, he again sort of lost my trust. I don't know. I just don't know. I think I have to be a little guarded now. I hate being guarded in front of close friends, but I just we're on strike. We've just gone through strike 2. I think Brian has a lot of stuff to figure out. I think he's navigating his life just like we all are.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I don't know if what he's saying to me is what he actually believes, or what he's saying to me, again, like we had that conversation, if what he's saying to me is just what he thinks I want to hear. Oftentimes I'm like, Brian, just tell me how you feel. I don't need you to, like, pay me a compliment if you don't actually want to pay me the compliment. And maybe he's just trying to figure stuff out on his own. I'm sure he is.
Do you think that the show has kind of affected him, and that's kind of where we're getting this side of him?
I don't know, because I wouldn't call Brian like arrogant. I wouldn't call him like show offy. He's a good guy. He's super nice. But I do think he is. I don't know that if he's still lacking some confidence in his skin of who he is. But I don't know. I mean, listen, the show has affected all of us, Zach. If I were to sit here and be like, the show hasn't affected me, I'd seem like this martyr, like this perfect guy.
Yeah.
Of course it's affected all of us, right? But I still, he's a close friend of mine, and I still love him to death. No matter what we go through, you forgive and forget. And I think that's important, because otherwise we would never have friendships that would last, because every fight would end it.
Every friendship, every relationship, there are always going to be the ebb and flow, right? You're always going to have the highs and lows. And, I think the strongest friendships are the ones that go through conflict. I like going through conflict with people in my life because it always leads to resolution. And I'm never afraid of moving through the mud or moving through the fog, because I know it always is clearer on the other side. It's just a matter of getting through it. And I feel like every time you go through that, it's like peeling back a layer of the onion, and we're getting deeper and deeper to the core. And that's what ultimately builds those relationships.
Agreed for sure.
Sarah wants to know if you've ever had a crush on Vishal.
So that I am very confidently able to say no. No, he's not my type. I love him to death as a brother. He's just not my type. I don't know. Nicholas is my type, I guess, at this point, because I'm a married man.
Yeah.
But he's nope. I've never had a crush on him. I love him like a brother. We've known each other since, gosh, 8 years old. It's just one of those things where you never look at that person in that light, and there was never any reason to. I know a lot of people on social media like to be like, oh, Vishal is gay, he's not in love with Richa. I could tell you right now, I could confirm he is 100% heterosexual. There isn't even like, oh, maybe he's like on the spectrum, on the scale, the Kinsey scale, and no, he's not. He's all straight.
Yeah.
Trust me.
I just think it's funny how every time there's like a gay man and an interaction with another man, straight or gay, it's like people immediately want to like be like, oh, there has to be something there, or somebody has to have made a move at some point or something. Like, it's just the immediate, our minds just jump right to that.
And I actually hate that. I don't like that, because I have a lot of like close straight guy friends, and I don't want, people to think, oh, he's gay, we can't be friends with him because he's going to hit on me. That's what we're trying to do as a gay community, to avoid. We don't want those stereotypes.
Yeah.
We don't want, just because I'm at a bar and I say what's up to a guy who's straight, I'm not hitting on you.
Yeah.
I'm just being nice.
Yeah. And sometimes some of these straight guys need to not flatter themselves so much.
Exactly.
Like, sometimes I'm just a polite person. I'm not trying to suck your dick. Okay?
Exactly. I mean, sometimes a straight guy is gorgeous, and maybe
and if they want to meet in the bathroom, I'll meet you there. Tell me which stall. No, I'm kidding. I've never sucked anybody off in a bathroom. Not and the night is young. Emery, is there anything else that any other misconceptions or stereotypes about, being a gay man, being a brown gay man, being, Indian, anything that you want to clarify for people that you think hasn't been showcased enough?
I think if I'm going to leave everyone with one final thought, is don't allow society to place you in a box. And I don't know, that box can be labeled gay, that box can be labeled Indian, that box can be labeled heteronormative, homosexual. I don't know what that box is labeled. Take that fucking box, break it down, and throw it out the window, because there is no box that you have to fit into. You create your own shape. So that's what I would leave with people. At least that's what I've ingrained in myself.
Absolutely. I think the issue too becomes people find comfort in a box, right? They find comfort in being placed in a box because then it gives them a sense of identity. But I think to add on to what you said, when you're willing to step outside of that box, you find so much other freedom and confidence and just, other layers about yourself that don't have to necessarily fit with this single identity. And I think that's why a lot of times people get caught up in tradition, or they get caught up in, religious dogma sometimes, is because they like not having accountability in their own lives. So if they're told what to do and they're told how to live their life, it's easier that way. But you have to really ask yourself, is it easier that way? Because I'm not being able to really live to the full lengths in which my life can be.
Yeah, and it is so liberating to live your life exactly how you are. It's so liberating to disregard what people think you should be doing and what people think you should be saying and how to live your life. So hopefully, that resonates with people.
Yeah.
And it makes things easier for everyone.
So married life is good?
It's great.
The sex is good?
Sex. We're trying to have a baby, Zach. The sex has to be good.
Keep trying. I'm sure at some point it'll happen. Thank you, Amrit.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Zach.
Guys, check out Family Karma on Bravo. The season is coming to an end. We are about to see his wedding to Nicholas. So be sure to tune in to Family Karma on Bravo and also streaming on Peacock. So go and check that out. Give Amrit a follow. Show him some love. Give him some love in the comments, because we always like some love in the club. All right, guys, I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Let me know if you've been watching Family Karma and what your thoughts are. I love you guys. I appreciate you. If you want to keep up with me, you can always give me a follow personally at Just Plain Zack all over the internet, or you can keep up with the show for all the latest reality TV tea at No Filter with Zack on the Instagram. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to hit the like button on your way out and subscribe if you want more good, spicy reality TV interviews, or you want all the latest reality TV tea. Hit the bell notification button. That way you always get that notification up in that little top bar, or on your phone notifications. It'll be like, whoop, hold up, Zack Peter got some new tea for you. And you'll be like, ooh, hold up, I'm gonna go watch some of that new tea that Zack Peter got for me. So go. Give me a follow on the YouTube. If you're listening to this on the podcast, then you can always leave me a nice 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, which I always love and I always adore. We're so close to breaking 1,000 reviews, which I'm very happy about, because I think I've told you guys in the past, like, I've since lost all of my reviews twice, and we've been building back, and we're going strong. So I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you very, very soon for Thursday Live. I'll talk to you then. All right. Love you. Mean it. Bye.